Hello, fellow Indigoers, if that's a word. Subject for today, something that prompted me to do, is to talk about this today, really, was somebody who said, what's our purpose? What's the purpose of an indigo? And it was also touching on empaths as well. And I'm finding it quite interesting because I'm coming across more and more indigo, rainbow, crystal, whatever, star seed, whatever you want to call yourself, and the fact that actually a lot of them are empaths as well. So it was the article was actually talking about what we do, what we become. Now, being an empath, we are very sensitive to things that are going on around us all the time. People, events, happenings, whatever it is, we're kind of the first to know about something before the majority of other people even are aware. And it can be difficult if we don't control. And one of the things I teach people to do is protection, because this is an area that I think a lot of people become either misguided or they misinterpret the whole protection thing, because it can be a bit overwhelming with everything going on around and in the world and in people's lives when you're kind of unprotected. And I realised this at quite an early age, that there was an awful lot of information happening, and I thought, what the hell is all of this? And then obviously I learned about protecting and protection, and it is very, very important. And when people learn it, they then go, wow, how come I didn't know about this before? And their whole lives change, literally. Their outlook on life and their kind of, the psyche of a person changes, their attitude changes, their behaviour changes, because all of a sudden it's like the volume's just been turned right down, to almost muted, that they can get on with their life, So without that happening, without all the noise that's going on, you then begin to realise, well, actually, this is obviously a gift that I've got. You can turn that on and off, and that's also really, really useful. But there is a purpose to the reason why we're here. Once we get past the whole bombardment of noise and distraction and such like external influences, and it was summed up very, very well actually in this article, in as much as it just said that basically we need to become like a lighthouse. Okay, this is going to be a very generalized explanation of it, but I thought, yes, that's actually quite true. Now, we can each of us be a lighthouse in our own way, and I believe generically, or being generalized, or generalizing a bit about what being a lighthouse is about. A lighthouse is basically seen as a safety, it's kind of a. If you just think about the uses of a lighthouse, a lighthouse is extremely strong, very, very grounded, and with a massive foundation. Sometimes we're on the edge of a country, and sometimes we're miles out to sea on a tiny little rock somewhere, surrounded by the elements and the sea. But at the same time, we're doesn't matter the location, a lighthouse is still seen as a warning, as a safety net, as a comforting thing to see at night, by someone in really rough seas. It's as a guide. All these words that can be associated with being a lighthouse, I thought were really, really clever. And I thought, yes, that's exactly what we are. We are really lighthouses in this world. We're lighthouses, and that's what really we need to keep reminding ourselves, in it. And we're lighthouses in whatever aspect we're in, whether you're a healer or whether you're a guide, whether you're a psychologist, whether you're, no matter what it is, it's about being that solid rock when everything else is in chaos around you. And I think a lot of the time I come across people that I help out in my work as a psychologist that don't realize that they are already behaving like a lighthouse, because that's how people perceive them to be. They perceive them to be a rock solid, steady, reliable beacon of light, that can guide them through their life, and that can help them, and very often I find that a lot of indigos and empathic people are they help a lot of people in different ways, and they don't realize it. They don't realize the value that they give to other people's lives, whether it's family, whether it's friends, whether it's work colleagues. They very often don't realize it, that they're doing it, because they're so wrapped up, without the protection thing, they're so wrapped up in their own feelings and being bombarded and trying to control what's going on around them, and they feel overwhelmed by what's happening around them. But at the same time, they're a lighthouse, but they may not be a very effective lighthouse if they're not using protection to control the bombardment. It's like the lenses are a little bit dirty all the time. Somebody can see that it's a lighthouse, but it's not beaming brightly. Sometimes in the distance, in a stormy weather, somebody will look into the land, or they'll come across what looks like a lighthouse, but the light is very dull and dim, and they can't really make out whether that's really what they're looking at or not. So what we need to become, we need to clean that lens and that light, and we need to really beam brightly, because even though we may not necessarily know who's looking at us, or who's observing us, or who are around us, we may not even know that they're there. But if we're shining brightly and we're spreading lots of light around, that's our job. Our job is to try and make people feel secure, make them realize that, although you may never go into that lighthouse and know the person that's operating it, at least you know that person is there, that there is that light at the end of the tunnel, for instance, or that there is somebody that's working hard while there's chaos going on around, while there's storms and bad weather and foggy weather and whatever it is that's happening in someone's life, that they can look out somewhere and see you and see a light, And I just thought that was really, really good. I've expanded on the lighthouse thing. The lighthouse kind of association was actually very brief and short, and I've, over the last week or so, I've kind of thought about it more and more and meditated on that whole sort of association with a lighthouse, and I thought, yeah, that really, really works, and I think that puts what our job is into context a lot of the time, because that's how I feel. I battled for quite a long time to keep thinking, well, actually, what is my purpose? You know, it's almost like I needed it written down on a piece of paper so that I could say, right, that's my purpose. You know, it's not like that for everyone. We don't have a defined purpose as such. It can't be written down on a piece of paper. But I think the lighthouse description, I think, works really, really well. And even though we still have to live our lives, and you know, we still have to bring up our family, and we still have to go to work, and we still have to do all the things that we have to do in society, but at the same time we can still be that lighthouse wherever we are. And I think that you know, that describes really a lot. It does to me. Hopefully it does to you. I would like to hear your comments and you know, your feedback on it as well, whether you feel the same or whether you've got another description. Maybe you've got another description of something that I've not thought about before, or someone else hasn't thought about, that made sense to you and was able to describe what you are. Maybe you're an empath, maybe you're an indigo, maybe you're both. I would be very interested to hear. But anyway, I hope that's been useful. I hope that's explained something, put it into words, hopefully. That's all I aim to do really with this channel, is to try and help people out and help them to find their way in their world. That's what it's really all about. Okay, thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to talking with you again in another video soon.